Hello to all of you. This class that we are going to do today is about complex sentences. We have seen that there are three different types of sentences. You have a simple sentence, which is one independent clause. For example, I enjoy playing computer games on a rainy afternoon. And here you have a subject, a verb, and a direct object. You have compound sentences, which we have seen also, and they are two or more independent clauses joined together in one of three ways. You can join them with a coordinator, as for example, John loves Tom, but he doesn't love her. You have a conjunctive adverb, which is Jane loves Tom, however, she keeps it a secret. And then you can join two ideas into a same sentence with a semicolon. For example, Jane loves Tom, but he loves her also. Complex sentences have one independent clause and one or more clauses that are dependent on them. These dependent clauses cannot stand alone in a sentence. They have to depend on a main clause. And the main clause is generally more important than the dependent clauses. You have three kinds of dependent clauses in English, which are subordinated. They are noun, adverb, and adjective clauses. They are joined by subordinating conjunctions or subordinators, which are the clause markers. Noun clauses are always part of the sentence. The subordinator is generally that or a WH word. These clauses cannot be taken out of the sentence because if they are taken out, you don't have a sentence. They are functioning as clause elements. So, at the beginning, the first example that you have, what David said is completely irrelevant. The subject of that sentence is what David said. But it is a noun clause, a subordinated noun clause that cannot stand alone as a sentence, because if you say what David said, it doesn't mean anything. You have to continue it with the main clause, which is completely irrelevant. You can have a noun clause as a direct object also. I don't understand how she puts up with it. And how she puts up with it would be the direct object of the verb understand. You can also have them as an indirect object. And here you have give whoever asks for it the address of the club. Here, whoever asks for it is a WH, subordinated clause, that is functioning as an indirect object. Whoever here is the subject and asks is the verb. Remember that you always need in a clause, you always need a subject and a verb. Then you have the object of the preposition, and you have Jim is always interested in what we are doing. What we are doing is a subordinated clause, and it is a complement of that preposition in. You also have a subject complement when you have the verb to be, and here you have the problem is what we will say to them. What we will say to them there is a subordinated noun clause. And these noun clauses can always be replaced by a word. For example, in the first one you have that is completely irrelevant, and that would be the subject, and it is occupying the space of what David said. And the other one you have I don't understand something, and that something is occupying the place of the direct object that you have how she puts up with it. Okay, now let's continue with the adverbial clauses, which must also be attached to an independent clause. They cannot stand by themselves as sentences. You can have it at the beginning of the sentence, in the middle, or at the end of the sentence. Adverb clauses are by far the most numerous, and they give different kind of information. In a sentence, they are also generally optional. If you take them out, you can still have a main clause. You won't have all the information, but you can still have a main clause. For these adverbial clauses, the clause markers are used for different things. Here you have for place, time, reason, concession, condition. Some of them include, and here you have the subordinators, which are after, as long as, because, which indicates reason, as, if, which is condition, unless is also condition, although is concession. And so there you have the example sentences: as soon as I arrive, I'll call you. There, as soon as I arrive, is a subordinate adverb clause of time. You have the next sentence: although the weather was very cold, we still went for a walk. There, although is a subordinator, and that is a subordinated clause of concession. The next one: unless you get up early, I won't wait for you, and that is a subordinate clause of condition. Then you have James lives in the same flat where he was last year. There you have where as a subordinator, which is indicating place. We went to the supermarket because we needed fruit and vegetables, and there you have a subordinate clause of reason. Okay, the clause markers for adverb clauses are sometimes used as prepositions. So be very careful when you are talking about clauses that you are talking about an adverb clause and not a prepositional phrase. The difference lies in the fact that one has a subject and a verb and the other one doesn't. Remember that clauses always need a subject and a verb. But a phrase like the prepositional phrase, you don't have a verb. And so here we have two examples: because it was raining, we didn't go out. And here because is functioning as a subordinator for a subordinated clause of reason, because it was raining. In the next one you have because of the rain, and there you don't have a subject, you don't have a verb, so that is a prepositional phrase. Because of the rain, we didn't go out. So the most important thing that you have to see here is whether you have a subject and a verb. In the next one, you have as time goes by, I feel better and better, and that is a subordinated clause of time. As time goes by, as is used for time. And in the next one you have as a neighbor, she is always very helpful. Here you can see that that is a phrase, a prepositional phrase. It doesn't have a subject and it doesn't have a verb. And here you must remember that punctuation is important. When the adverb clauses come at the beginning of a sentence, they must be followed by a comma. When they come at the end of the sentence, you don't need the comma. An adjective clause functions as an adjective in a sentence. It is a dependent clause with a subject and a verb. It follows the noun clause or pronoun it modifies because it is functioning as an adjective. And it begins with an introductory word or clause marker, and these can be called, some authors call them relative pronouns, some authors call them clause markers or subordinators. But in fact, the function that they have is the same, which for this kind of clause are who or whom, and whom is always used after a preposition and a direct object. And then you have whose, which, and that, which are the same subordinators that we use for the noun clauses. And here you have two examples. The first one is Dennis bought a pocket calculator It fits into his shirt pocket easily. Here we are talking about the pocket calculator. And so you can join these two sentences, make one subordinate, and you can say, Dennis bought a pocket calculator that fits into his pocket easily. That fits into his pocket easily is an adjective clause that is modifying, or it is saying something about the calculator. There you have another example. The apple tree was broken in the wind. My grandfather had planted it. The apple tree which my grandfather had planted was broken in the wind. And here you have, which my grandfather had planted is modifying the apple tree. Okay, that is all for now about complex sentences. You have a lot of theory in your on the platform, which I hope you will download, read it all, and then we will do some exercises, and you will have them in the practical work. Yes, the practical task. Okay, that is all then, and if you have any doubts at all, if you need anything at all, please send me a message. Please send me a message on the platform. Okay, goodbye to all.